Hey there, welcome back to Well-Oiled Operations. So today's episode is about how your comfort zone is most likely costing you. And I want to talk about what it's costing you because I have definitely been in seasons of my business or of my journey where I was playing small. And I didn't realize at the time I was playing small until I would hear something, maybe like something I'm going to share today, where I had to question it and go, wait a minute. Am I playing it safe? Am I not even shooting big because I don't even know that big is an option? So I really hope this episode gets you moving. Okay. Now, here's what I will say. Today, I believe I do move quickly. I make so many decisions all day, every day. I mean, that is truly what I do pretty much consistently. And I'm not just making little decisions, I'm making big ones. I'm making needle moving size decisions. And that is one of the reasons we scale so quickly today. There have been definitely times in my business where I didn't scale that fast. And it was like a slow and steady. And when I look back, I see how slow I was to make certain moves, how slow I was to make certain decisions, how I was comfortable and I was letting myself stay in my comfort zone. I was playing small. And here's what I will tell you. Today, just because I say I make decisions fast does not mean I'm always saying yes. Sometimes I'm making a fast decision of, nope, not for me. Like, nope, that's a parking lot. I love that idea, but not for me, not for me right now, right? And here's the deal. It's just about handling whatever comes your way quickly and really being a better gatekeeper to your calendar, for your money, right? For whatever big decisions you've got going on. Sometimes what happens is we hear something, right? I might have a podcast episode on something I'm doing in marketing, and then you just stop what you're doing in marketing and then you do my thing instead, right? And then you hear somebody else talk about something else and you quit my thing and then you do their thing, right? And we've got to be really, really careful. So it's making a decision and sticking to it, okay? Now, what I have seen and witnessed and noticed over the last 7 years of coaching other businesses, and then the past 20 years of watching colleagues and peers, maybe watching myself, right? I think one thing I really notice is how quickly or sometimes how slowly business owners are moving, right? And how they find that comfort zone and they think they've got a lot of reasons why they're not going to do something. And it's not because I think they have a lot of reasons, but the biggest reason internally is they're scared. It's not their norm. It's not what they're used to. So they think it's safer to stay here with what I know than try something new that I've never done before, or to try something I've already done before, but didn't do well and try to master it. Holy cow. Can I tell you how many of my clients say to me, oh, I don't want to do that again. I already did that and that didn't work. I'm like, that's because you were you 3 years ago. And you didn't know what you know now. And you're not going to make that mistake again, right? You've learned. Or they've been burned by a bad business coach, so they don't ever want to invest in another coach. Or they've been burned by an assistant, so they're not going to hire an assistant again. Like, no. We just learn from our mistakes and we do it better next time. Okay. It's kind of like when you hear people that are afraid to invest right now in the market. So they're keeping their money in cash. Some people are losing money right now because they're keeping this money in their bank account, making no money, right? Because of inflation. So it's crazy how the brain works. You're thinking, I'm afraid to lose money in the stock market, so I'm just going to keep it in cash so I don't lose it. But you're losing it anyway, right? So we just had somebody join us in Well-Oiled Operations, and it was actually her second consult, which was really interesting to watch. Like, we could see the first round and then we could see the second call, right? And the enrollment team, the person that was actually on this call with her, they had asked, it was the same person the same kind of coach, I guess I could say, that was talking to this person. And they said, hey, how's it been going? Fill me in. What has happened in the last 90 days since we talked? And she basically said, I'm exactly where I was 90 days ago. Now, for most people, that isn't even the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is they think, well, I haven't gotten worse, so I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm just where I was. But here's what I want you to see. What is it costing you to stay the same? You should be so afraid of plateauing. But for some of us at certain stages, we think plateauing is safe, but plateauing is costing us so much money. Now, obviously, going backwards is a whole nother situation. But I'm really talking to the person that's just staying in their comfort zone. Maybe you've been making 600,000 and then like 602 the next year and then 60, right? It's like you're kind of staying there. Okay. I want to talk to somebody who hasn't taken those big leaps yet because there's something that is holding you back. All right. And I also want you to understand, I want you to really grasp, what is it that you're losing? Because when you start to hear what it's really costing you, when you understand that, I think you'll stop the inaction and you'll start taking massive action. So here are 6 things that the cost of inaction is actually impacting you. Okay. The biggest, most obvious one is money. Okay. If you are a 6-figure business owner and you are not investing in the skills to make 7 figures, how much money are you losing every single year? What does it cost you to not make $1 million this year? Okay. Now, here's what I will tell you. I think a 7-figure business is the new 6-figure business. I don't think anybody's goal should be 6 figures unless this is truly like a side hustle. Because here is the deal. $100,000 is nothing because you have expenses. You're not actually making $100,000, right? After expenses, you might be making like 15,000, 20,000. Best case scenario, you're making like 50,000, right? You're gonna make 50,000, go get a job where you get to clock in and clock out and not think about your business. Like, I don't think a 6-figure business is worth the headaches of business. Now that might irritate some of you that I just said that, but trust me, I am telling you, me personally, I would never create a new business if I thought, I can make a couple 100,000. It just wouldn't be worth it. Not for the headaches, not for the nightmare of clients and like bad clients, obviously not dream clients, but bad clients, which you'll get no matter what, right? Or the contractors you work with or the team. It's just not worth the headache, right? So to me, if you aren't shooting for 7 figures or more, okay, I think you're losing so much in that skill set. I will tell you, my business at 7 figures is so much easier than it was at 6 figures. So much easier. Okay. I think it's like getting out of the comfort zone of 6 figures to really shoot for 7. Okay. Once you're at 7, the goal is for me, I'm always like, how can I go to 2 million? Right? How can I be a multiple 7-figure business owner? And then once I'm at 2, I'm like, okay, it's 8 figures from here. Right. And like now we're shooting for 10. So this year, I think I'll do between like 6 and 7 million. And for sure, the goal the following year is going to be 10. Now, some of you might be thinking, those are big jumps, Stacy. Okay. However, when you learn the skill set, making money, it's easy, right? When you know how to make money, you can make more money. So Kent, he's totally fine, but recently was in the hospital and he had lots of tests being done. And all he kept saying was like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine what this bill is going to be. Like, this bill is going to be insane. Like, I've gotten everything you could possibly get done to me. And I was like, it's fine. It's just money. We'll make more. Like, we know how to make more. Okay. Because it's a skill set I have invested in. If you have not cracked the 7-figure skill set yet, you are losing so much money. Okay. So let's keep diving into just like that money piece, right? So thinking about when you take in action on certain marketing trends. So here's the deal. Marketing is constantly changing. I do believe over the last 20 years, the marketing principles have stayed the same, but the way we do marketing, like the medium, maybe like what platforms. And I mean, I was pre-social media. So I mean, I was yellow pages and all of that, right? So, but the principles have stayed the same. So whenever I tell you about the first conference I ever attended as a business owner, it was totally a Facebook ad. It was just a postcard in the mail, but it was exactly what a Facebook ad looks like today, right? So like the medium has just changed. All right. So anyway, marketing is constantly changing. And if you don't take action fast on that trend, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the returns in the beginning. Trends are always producing the highest ROI in the beginning. So if you're slow to move, you'll miss the biggest gains. Okay. And then with money comes time. If you figure this out now versus 7 years from now, think about the time you're losing, the time with your family, the time for yourself, the amount of sleep you're missing out on, right? the amount of like personal time and self-care. And if you slow yourself down, if you stay in this like rut, sometimes it's a rut, right? We just can't get out, or we're not even trying to get out. We're at the bottom of the rut and we don't even realize it. Okay. Think about this. Think about if you think business is good right now, what if it wasn't as good as it could be? Like, which is always true. But like, what if you thought you were on the top, but you really weren't? Like, what if you were still at the bottom of that mountain and there was so much more? I think for almost all of us, right? I'm sure some of you listening are crushing it at a whole nother level. However, most of us are at the bottom and there's still so much more we can't even fathom yet. And the longer you allow yourself to stay in this comfort zone, right, you are going to miss out on so much time. Another area is what you'll lose to your competitors. So I'm very competitive. So when you bring up my competitors, I'm like, wait, what are they doing? Why are they doing? What's happening? Why do I not know this? Right. So here's the deal. Someone will take advantage of the opportunity. And unfortunately, if it's not you, it may be your competitor, right? And certain moves a competitor makes can be hard to come back from. The bigger the gap between you and your competitor, the harder it is to come back, the harder it is to tackle that beast, right? So you've got to be really, really careful, because when you hear of certain opportunities, and no, we don't jump at every opportunity. Remember, we talked about we're the gatekeeper. We have to decide which one, what's the best, okay? So you want to make sure that when it's the right opportunity, you actually have the time on your calendar to take advantage of it. Number 4, clients. This one I have learned many times over. So the cost of inaction can sometimes be a loss of clients. Now, we have had, in case you don't know, I own dance and music schools for children, which means, oh yes, we have dance moms. Now, they're not all as crazy as the show, and the show is definitely exaggerated. However, I have had some real dance moms moments where I have not felt safe. Okay. Like it can truly be that bad. Now, 99% of them are amazing and sweet and lovely. And there's a 1% that you truly should be scared for. Okay. So I know we had like one time I can think of a certain situation where we would get a client complaint. Like basically there was a real crazy dance mom, and the normal dance moms were like, she needs to go. She's ruining the culture here. Like, you need to do something about this. And we behind the scenes were moving slower than we should, right? It's like, what do you do? You kick this person out and say, because she's crazy, she's got to go. Or like, what do you say? How do you say it? Like, she is a little crazy. So what is she going to say when we say this to her? And we were very slow to deal with it. And here's what happened. Because we didn't move fast enough, or at least publicly share what we were going to be doing, like, or what was allowed, what was not tolerated, et cetera. Our best clients, some of them, started to figure out, where can we go where this crazy lady isn't? And we lost a bunch of people that we loved. We got to keep the crazy mom, but the good ones left, which really stunk, right? Like, we didn't want that at all. And then here was the worst part. The one that was causing all the problems eventually left too. We lost like that whole group, okay? And I have massively learned that one bad apple, one toxic person can ruin everything for everybody. And if you don't like get rid of that bad apple as fast as you can, you will have the good apples that you love, that have been so good to you, that you actually care about and want to serve, leave you too. Now, unfortunately, I have made that mistake a few times in 20 years. Sometimes you just don't see it. You're like, it's not that bad. It's fine. They'll be fine. Like, no big deal. It's nothing crazy, right? But sometimes they perceive it differently. So you really have to make sure you are paying attention to that. Okay. Don't sacrifice. And you might be thinking, I can't afford to let this person go. I need the money. But what's going to happen is you'll lose more of the good ones. You'll lose even more money by keeping the one bad apple. Okay. So be very careful. Now, I said the word crazy. I do not mean like, I shouldn't have probably said that word. That was probably an insensitive word, but let's just say it was a bad apple situation that was really ruining the experience of other clients. Okay. All right. Very similar. Number 5 is the cost of inaction can hurt your team and the culture in your company. So here is the deal. How many of you are letting a B, a C, an F player stay on the team? And you know it. And here's the deal. A players can spot a B player miles away, okay? If you let B players stay, a lot of stuff can happen. First of all, winning team members, A players, they don't want to be on a team with not great people, right? People that have good work ethic, that have no integrity, that are really just slacking. They're here because it's a job. They want to win and they want to be on a winning team, and nobody likes to carry the weight of other people. So here's the deal. Sometimes I have seen really amazing team members leave because you're not taking care of the B players. You're letting them stay. Now, I've also seen A players become resentful. I've seen A players turn into B players because they're like, well, she doesn't care. She's not doing anything about it. So I guess it's allowed to come in 20 minutes late every day, right? A players start to lose respect for their boss not taking action. There is a whole lot that comes with this, okay? So just like if you allow the bad apple client to stay, others may leave. It's the same thing here. If you keep tolerating the B and the C players, the A players are going to be out of here, right? And you've got to be really, really careful. Now, I will tell you this. I have seen amazing A players start to, like I said, get resentful and bring up B players in conversation. So if I say to an A player, hey, what happened yesterday that wasn't like you? They might be like, well, everybody else is doing it. Like, so what, right? So they can start to get an attitude because they're thinking, how dare you call me out when you're letting B player and C player do nothing all day? So the culture can be so tainted by you letting this behavior happen and letting these people stay. So the no bad apple policy for us is when it comes to clients and team members, like they have to go. And I am not kidding. Even inside of Well-Oiled, we have asked, I should say asked, but there was no, like, they could have said yes or no. We have gently let them leave the program. But we have, even in Powerhouse, our mastermind, have said to people, I'm sorry, this just isn't a good fit. We're going to reimburse you and we're going to part ways. And we've done it in Well-Oiled too. And it's because sometimes one negative thing can turn into this like whole negative experience for everybody. All right. And you just have to be really, really careful. Now, yes, it cost me money to refund somebody in my program, but it could have cost me more. Maybe some people wouldn't renew because of that person staying in here. So you really have to understand that leaving money on the table, or, oh my goodness, I'm going to lose money. You're going to lose a whole lot more by not taking action. Okay. And then the last one, number 6, I want to talk about. The cost of inaction can start to become your reputation, your brand, right? So a lot of brands that are being canceled, right? And I really, truly hate all of that. You are not going to see me participating in any of that. It's just not my way of behaving specifically. And I will say though, when I watch it, when I see it happen, I am asking myself, like, what would I do if this was me? What would I do if these 6,000 comments, horrible comments, was me? How would I respond? How would I behave? What would I say? I'm learning that way, right? Now, as I'm recording this, recently Anthropology had a situation where consumers were very unhappy with not an ad. It was just like I think it was just like an Instagram reel. And there was 6,000 not great comments of how horrible this was. And Anthropology responded by just turning off the comments. So nobody could comment anymore, which doesn't help, guys, because they just went to the next post and commented. So it's like, why even bother, right? And then from there, they started to delete certain comments. And then here is the worst part. They did nothing. They said nothing. Now, at the time, nothing has been done. Maybe they have changed it by now, but at the time, they are still being silent. And here's what I will tell you, because I did read some of the comments for sure. And again, I read it to see, like, what were they expecting? What should they have done? What would people like to see? And people wanted to see a statement. They wanted to hear a statement. They wanted to see an apology. They wanted them to be accountable. These are things I'm learning to go, okay, if I accidentally say something that makes people so furious, how would I want to show up? How would I want to respond? What would they be expecting of me? How could I take care of my clients that I've maybe unexpectedly made upset, unintentionally made upset, right? So their cost of inaction, of them not apologizing, not making a statement, not taking that video down, because that was the other part. They took the comments off, but left the video up. So it just fueled people even more, right? So that has cost them their reputation, the loss of lifelong customers. I mean, the amount of people that said in that post, I have shopped with you for years. I will never spend another dollar here again. It was constant, over and over and over. Now, maybe by now they have said something, but I will tell you this, it is 100% for sure too late for some of those people. The cost of inaction, if it's not an immediate response, some people, nope, they're done. Right? Like it's over. You could say nothing now. It won't change that. Now, some people, maybe they've said something and they've totally forgiven them and they're like, okay, I'm fine. We're back. I feel really good about what they said. Some people will have unfollowed, unsubscribed, won't even be looking for what they're saying. Your reputation is so important. Now, I will tell you this. I am, like a lot of people, very nervous of saying something that you unintentionally say that can get you canceled or have people do whatever they do these days online. Okay. However, if you stay true to you, if you have good intentions, if you just think before you do, sometimes we just do a little too fast and we don't even understand what we're doing. Right. So slow down, which I know sounds maybe funny when I'm saying the cost of inaction can hurt you. And I'm saying slow down a little bit. With certain things, you want to make sure you're not moving too fast, right? There is definitely pros and cons when it comes to this. I want you thinking about that when you think about your reputation. Now, here's the deal. If you only look at the risk of what could happen if you take action and you fail, and you never consider what the cost is of not taking action, it's possible that the risk is bigger. I actually think in many times the risk is bigger. So what I was saying before, when I was a six-figure business owner, let's say when I was making $400,000 a year, the cost of me not understanding what it took to be a seven-figure business owner. Okay, so if I was making 400, I was losing 600,000 a year. It was literally costing me $600,000 every year that I stayed at that $400,000 level. So if it was costing me hundreds of thousands of dollars, we don't look at it that way, right? We're like, oh, if I have to learn that skill set, or if I have to hire that person, or I just don't have that kind of money, or I can't afford that, or I don't have the time. But we don't look at the opportunity cost of what it's actually costing us. So maybe something's going to cost you $25,000 to learn that skill set. Okay. And I've spent way more than that on a certain skill set. But let's just say something costs you $25,000 or the next hire is $75,000. And you're like, oh my goodness, that's so much money. But if that $75,000 person can bring you $150,000 back to your business, could be the person that helps you scale to seven figures, right? I think of all of that. What is it costing me? How many millions am I losing every year not learning the skill set yet of an eight-figure entrepreneur, right? So here are two questions you might want to consider and really kind of work through and journal. Number one, what are you delaying or procrastinating on right now? Okay. Think about everything we just talked about. Number two, what is something you're afraid to do, but know you should do it? When you write those down, I want you to go back through this list of those 6 ways. And I want you to ask yourself, how is this impacting me? Am I losing money? And how much? Time? Am I losing out to my competitors? Is the gap becoming bigger? Am I upsetting clients? Are team members being affected? Is the culture changing? Am I hurting my reputation? It is so important to really grasp what is happening. This way, when you see, oh my goodness, when I'm 500,000 and I'm not spending or investing to hit 1,000,000, I'm literally losing $500,000 a year. When I'm still on this hamster wheel of working 70 hours a week and I want to get down to 40, do the math of 30 hours a week times 52 weeks a year. How much time are you losing for yourself, for your family? Okay. When you see the hours, the money, that is when you'll stop the inaction and you'll want to step into the massive action and do something about it. Some of you have not realized what it's costing you, which is why it feels very comfortable and it feels very safe to stay exactly where you are. Okay. But I know you, and I bet you're playing a smaller game than you realize. I bet you're capable of more. I bet you haven't even discovered like how much amazing like greatness is inside of you and how much you really have to give. I bet you there's a part of you that knows that. Okay. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope, here's the deal, I really hope it gets you moving. I really hope this is an episode where you DM me on Instagram and tell me, oh my goodness, I just did this thing that I haven't done because I was nervous or I was afraid or I didn't even know I was doing it. No more. Like, tell me on Instagram, like, I am no longer playing small. All right. Have a phenomenal rest of your week. We've got some really great episodes coming up. One that's going to be airing really soon was a request on Instagram about my updated health journey. I've done definitely some different things this year, and I'll be sharing all of the details. And I have like a whole download. Like, this one had to come with a PDF with all of the things because there is so much to share. So that's going to be coming up next. So stay tuned.